Welcome everyone to In Before the Lock, episode 17. I'm Rob with the Electric Playground. We've got Davey with Stumbler. Davey, it's been a bit, man. I don't even remember your name. We're here, man. We're talking pinball mods. We've been about 6 weeks since we've seen you guys. Davey and I have been super busy, but excited to be back. We are here in our shops. Davey in his new shop. He's going to tell you about that today. Davey, how you been?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm good. I'm a little bit sweaty. I'm a little bit hot. Whoa, yeah! That's how good I am. I'm amazing. I don't know what happened. Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm a bit sweaty. London is an absolute, it's so hot here, man. It's like 35 degrees today, I think. It's very sweaty. I've had to turn my fan off in the workshop because it was giving too much background noise. So if I start dripping halfway through the show, it's because I'm dying of heat.
You're looking good. You're looking alive, unlike me.
So
I'm
are you, buddy.
White and pale.
So
you're in your new spot, working out the heating and air conditioning, it sounds like. We're going to talk more about that. So guys, we're doing a bunch of content today about what we're working on. Davey and I have been releasing things, working on things. We're back better than ever. Davey did get a chance to look a little bit at Alice, so we're going to talk about Alice's Adventures in Wonderland briefly, not too long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you guys what I've been working on the Conqueror upgrade for our Godzilla topper, going a deep dive on that for the first part of our show. Davey's got some stuff for Godzilla, I think maybe stuff for Elton that he's going to be showing. Also going to be walking about his new workshop. I see Elton there in the back, so that's exciting.
Yeah, there she is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Elton's here.
And then we're going to be talking about materials. So mainly materials for constructing mods, resin, 3D printed PLA, all sorts of different things. Davey and I are always learning more about this. We're hoping many of you that are watching know even more about it than us, so you can tell us if you guys know anything. And then we got some great mods to show off today. So before we dive in, Davey, I'm going to hit you with this bad boy. Mirror blades or art blades?
Oh, easy, man. Mirror blades, 100% all day.
Okay.
Blades.
Okay.
Yeah. But not the black ones. Those ones are weird, man. I don't know why anybody.
The black mirror ones. You're not feeling them?
Mm-hmm. No, man.
Oh, man.
No. Essentially, they're just like, they just, I don't know, it's like only a slight mirror, isn't it? I've seen like gold mirrors as well on games before. I just don't think any of them really hit like just the plain mirrors do. Caveat to that is, I wouldn't say they're as good on all games as they are on some games. But I would almost say every single game mirrors. But I know that's a pretty contentious answer because a lot of people.
Well, I might have to disagree. I might have to disagree with you on this one. I'm thinking about what to do with my brand new Godzilla Black and White. I've been pretty busy with this bad boy. Actually, not really. I picked it up or had it dropped off the other day. Super excited to have that in hand. Very proud. Mainly got this because we're doing the Black and White topper, and I wanted to have the newest bad boy there. So excited to have that in hand.
Is that how you convinced yourself to make the purchase? Is it that it was more professional to purchase it?
Absolutely the reason I convinced myself. And you'll be happy to know
that I convinced myself for the same thing in the last 7 days because it was the professional thing to do, Rob. I needed to take videos in the 70s.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be talking all about the Godzilla Black and Whites. We've got some cool new stuff coming through for Alice. A bunch of people shared this image over the last couple weeks, and then today, Kaneda, I'll put out some of his paid Patreon content, share this, which is pretty cool. I mean, they definitely seem to be delivering on this sculpt expectation they set.
Yes.
What have you seen? Have you seen anything else, or is this pretty much it?
Yeah, I've seen a fair bit. Melvin very kindly gave me pretty much a full walkthrough of the game, topside at least. So all the sculpts, all the Lior sculpt work and stuff. And just straight out of the bat, I would say it's just an absolutely gorgeous game. I know that Renz has sort of been coming out and saying that it's one of the most pretty games he's ever seen, and I would follow that up and say that I would agree. It's just really stunningly beautiful. The colors and top side is just packed. Obviously, it's got Lior sculpts in it. We can see from that second picture that Canada dropped today. If you sort of, obviously it looks amazing, and sort of, the sculpt in the background with the glowing red eyes obviously looks great. But actually, what I love is just like the stonework here, like the broken up stones.
Those faces, probably these faces
probably not on the
won't be
production.
on the machine.
Yeah, probably not on the production version of the game. Yeah, that's just a prototype thing. Yeah, but those little lanterns on the stick look amazing. I think the paintwork on this clock looks really good. I mean, a lot of people on the threads were saying things like, just based on that picture, it just puts the quality level of Stern games to shame. And I mean, it kind of does, doesn't it? I mean, the paintwork's really beautiful. Lior sculpts always deliver in that regard. So, I'm really excited. When Melvin gave me the walk through the game, the graphics on the LCD and the animations are just really nicely done, very whimsical, really tying nicely to the Alice theme. It's, as we know, it's got a topper that's standard on all 500 of the games, and I was kind of like, Mum was showing me and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is amazing, and the sculpts are great, and I was getting excited and stuff. He showed me the topper, and I lost my shit. It was just, I've never seen a topper like this on a production pinball machine before.
Cool.
That's I just think it's really great.
And Kerry Hardy, I think, got some inside looks, and he had mentioned like this thing is like the adult sexy Alice that we've heard about. Like, what is your take on it since you have seen it? Like, does it go too far to be like comfortable to bring into your home collection, or is it not too bad?
Yeah, 100% for sure. Like, it's not. It's
which one?
What do you mean? Which
I mean, is it too sexy, or is it the right sexy enough? No, okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's plenty of. No, I don't think it's overt, by any stretch of the imagination. I think probably the back glass and what we've seen is as racy as it gets. I think that there's possibly some other Alice pictures, as the usual sort of thing down the side of the head box and stuff, that are in a sort of a similar style, but obviously a different artist, because Zombie Yeti only did the sketch work for the back glass. It's a different artist and took that sketch work and extrapolated that across the rest of the play field and the cabinet and stuff. Having said that, it matches in really closely. I think most people probably wouldn't even know unless they were told that it was a different sort of sketch artist who did both of those things. Possibly if Jeremy was here, he might disagree with that, because obviously an artist probably is more familiar with that kind of thing, and if somebody takes your work and does something else with it, who knows? I don't know. You'd need to ask him, I suppose. But I think personally it hews really close to the art style of that pencil work original. I don't get offended easily by that sort of stuff, so it's not going to upset me. But I didn't think the back glass was overt either. Some people did. But yeah, certainly, man, I'll be more than happy to add it to my collection, and will be doing so.
The speculation continues. We're hopeful to see that at Expo this year. It seems like we're headed that direction. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So just to hit our agenda again real quick, we're going to kind of be talking about stuff from the Electric Playground around Godzilla. We'll also be talking about some stuff from Davey from Godzilla, as well as Elton. So, Davey, you cool with me starting off and kind of diving in?
Man. Yeah, knock it out of the park, man.
Cool. All right, so we do have our little mobile camera going on here. I thought it'd be fun to kind of start with showing you guys the Godzilla black and white. Let me turn my camera around here. 1, 2, 3. All right. So yeah, so this thing, I mean, it's definitely a beautiful machine. I'm going to turn the light on real quick. The reflection is, you know, what everyone kind of expects it is. I'm loving the finish on the trim here. I know some people are already getting into painting that, but looks really great. As I mentioned, you know, one of the things we were really wanting to do was see how it looks, you know, in person with our topper. We've got a bunch of people who are already in on this. One of the things that we're looking into is bringing in some red into it as far as the art. So possibly some red on these control panels, red on the spikes on Godzilla, just some really small elements. So we're not quite there yet. We're also playing around with the lighting a little bit. I mean, one thing you'll notice with the black and white is even with the back glass, you've got this kind of sepia color scheme to it, and then of course on the sides you've got the silver. So I think it's going to be pretty tough for us to recreate that sepia exactly, but we're going to be playing around with the core light. One of the things that's really interesting about this is that you'll see it's kind of got a little bit of a pink tone, and part of that is because it's actually the light is reflecting off the red wires inside of the topper. It's red and black wires, so that's been interesting to kind of deal with. One of the things I love the most about this machine is that because the color, it doesn't have the color play field. When you have a lit shot, say like an orange shot or a red shot, or you've got the blue lit for the Mechagodzilla, like it really stands out. It doesn't get lost in the play field. So I know there's a lot of opinions about, you know, which one people really want in the end, but that's definitely one of the nice things about this machine. So yeah, so you know, our topper, one of the things that's really nice is there's a lot of color effects that are coming through. That's the spinner. This is currently in attract mode. There's red fire flames with destruction jackpots and a lot of different colors that come through. That's Rodan 2x multiplier. So it isn't purely, you know, black and white, but it is along those lines. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit with the Conqueror upgrade. A couple weeks ago, we put out some video on our Conqueror upgrade. We are shipping our first units just this month and throughout the rest of the year. We are going to be doing a custom console for the black and white, as well as a different console for the color version. So I'm going to fire this up for you guys here shortly, but I want to kind of show you guys where it's coming together. This is the color version. I've got a bunch of different like paint stuff that we're working on to talk to you guys about that, but this is the effect that we're going for the black and white, which is a bit of a powdered look. I'm going to kick off this light right here and fire this up for you guys. All right, so hitting it down low, some of the effects that you can see is that there's these illumination lights here in the front that kind of light up the front of the console, and then you've got a light above each of the monitors. So I can kind of give you guys a look at that.
Nice.
And then these control panels are pretty cool. There's going to be a little screen, little sticker screen that goes on that, but those have been turning out really well. We have been working on the video effects as well. So this particular video effect I'm going to show you guys here is for heat ray. So when the heat ray goes, you'll get these like beams going across. For those, this is one of my favorites right here. This is a destruction jackpot.
It's so cool, man. It's great the way it integrates with the background lights as well.
Yeah, it looks really great. I mean, you're going to have the same effect on the black and white version, if not more. This screen is something weird's going on with that one. But these are the videos that you're going to get out of the box. But of course, these can be replaced with your own footage. So if I switch it up to say when the saucer rises up, this is just a little bit of footage we've got in here right now. But of course, you can put whatever you want on these. So there's basically an SD card slot here on the top for each screen, and each SD card that you will get with your machine will have basically 6 different GIFs on it, and then you can just put that on your computer and swap out the GIF with another video clip very easily. So definitely gives you a lot of options for customizing each one. Let's see.
It looks like you've slightly changed the GIFs on each of those screens as well, so they play at slightly different timings and different colors as well, by the looks of things. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the way it works right now. We're actually working to make that so that they're all the same timing.
Okay. I kind of like it, man,
You'll
I gotta
see.
say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Alec kind of had a similar comment. He liked them staggered, so we're
Yeah, I
gonna be
kind of
playing
do as
around
well. It kind of
with
makes it a
that
bit
a little
more
bit.
organic that way, man, I think.
Yeah, totally. So this will be kind of the look, obviously when you're looking up at it. I'll show you guys a little bit about what's going on. I mean, there's quite a bit of programming involved in this, but we're very close. We're going to be shipping out the first one later this month, and there is going to be, I think, one person in the community has volunteered to kind of be the code master. So he's going to be kind of helping people with what he's upgrading his topper graphics wise.
Okay.
And I'll show you guys. So this is the black and white one here. So it'll have that. Oh, there we go. That red effect. Then a couple other things I've got. These are the buildings for the black and white. These are resin printed. So these are turning out really nice. This is where the console starts from. So this is 3D printed, and then there's a primer coat added, and then 2 coats of basically a base silver layer. This is before the little screen is put on. And then there's a clear coat added. We did kind of play around with this reflective material, but just ultimately couldn't get it to be quite as nice as we wanted within the time frame that we allotted for it. We played around with some gray. We even kind of played around with marking it up a little bit to look like it had some destruction, but ultimately decided against that. And then these little monitors right here, just so you guys kind of know a little bit about how that works. Basically, they go out after the fact. They are these little shells where these buttons slide in, so we can customize them for, the black and white versus the color version. Yeah. So yeah, been lots of little things that we're kind of working on, but really happy with how the finish is turning out. I think that folks are going to really enjoy, having not only the screens, but just this nice, 3D console on top of the machine.
You've done a good job, I reckon, of working out how, using the different paint layers or whatever, how to remove the print lines. They certainly don't look visible in the video, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, we played a lot with resin. We actually got some advice from some folks in the community, including Chris from C Arcades. We are doing the buildings in resin, but ultimately we found that there's other trade-offs with the resin. There's actually other kind of lines that are created. Plus, just from a cost perspective, a time perspective, we found that while there is a lot of negativity around 3D printing in the community because a lot of people don't handle the material really well, when you do handle the material really well, whenever you have better printers, which they're improving all the time, I do feel like it's really enabling a much better experience, which, it's just a matter of the stigma kind of around 3D printing.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that probably those concerns are going to be rendered meaningless over time as well. I mean, you're now using Bamboo Labs printers. That's what I've got home as well, the X1C. And, the quality level on those is getting so good now, particularly with, when you're using sort of a very fine nozzle on them as well.
Totally.
Which I actually haven't even, like I said, they come in 2 different nozzles, I think a 0.2 and a 0.6. And I've just been using the 0.6. I sort of don't tend to use mine for any production stuff because I generally go to print farms to get most of my 3D printing done. But even the stuff that I do at home without even tweaking the settings is of such good quality now, that you can just imagine where it's going to be in 5 years' time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think I'll just kind of give you guys one more look at this. It's really incredible, like how clean these lines are. You are seeing some of that banding, but a lot of that can be addressed um, through now that surface right there. That is
Yeah, that's
because
the
of how
supports,
a
isn't it?
3D print is done. So basically, what we're doing is we're printing a second object that goes over that. Um, so there are some things like that, but I mean, arguably, like that little embellishment of these bolts is a pretty cool look
Yeah,
for the object. So I think it's really about what you're trying to achieve, and when we're doing these in like generally low volumes compared to say, what you're doing with some of your mods, which is obviously a
yeah,
higher volume.
yeah.
Um, we're hand painting these as well, so it's like just trying to start with something that has the least amount of prep as possible.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's using the Bamboo Labs X1C, is it?
Those are off the P1S, which is the
Ah, okay.
one with not as fancy of the shell, but
Yeah,
it's the same
yeah,
printer
effectively the
otherwise.
same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
man. Oh, that's looking
yeah.
really great. I know that. No, it's been a long process to get there, hasn't it? With that shell to make it look as clean as possible and to get as nice a metal effect as possible.
Totally. Yeah.
And when we sort of were talking about the stainless steel shell that I did for the Tokyo Neon, and you sort of looked into costing that up, it became completely untenable to do it in that.
I
But
think
we'll
it
have a
was
talk.
about Yeah, I think it was about $300 per section, so it was going to be a
Yeah,
$900 per
yeah,
topper investment just for metal.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no big
And
deal.
so obviously you can sort of you can have the idea that the consumer would be okay to pay for that in a Tokyo Neon sense if it's only
Right,
like 20
right,
or 30 pounds extra. But
right.
yeah, certainly when it's like 900 dollar difference on and it wouldn't arguably add anything other than and then oh look, I've gone all hazy, and obviously it would probably be about 30 kilos worth of stainless steel you'd have to ship to people as well. That'd be the other
Yep,
problem.
yep. Yeah, no, you sent me that video of your sign and you dropped it on the table and it clanked and I was like, oh my God, I want it. And then I
Yeah,
ran
I
it through the
know,
system and it was like, no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that won't be
Well,
happening.
I'll try and demo that clank again today because nothing demonstrates how metallic something is than clanking it against a table.
Yeah, yeah.
So and that,
So
I
yeah,
mean, that
yeah,
go on.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I was gonna say before we move on, I wanted to kind of show just a little bit about some of the other paths we took, because I think it's kind of interesting. We did look into basically this different material. I can't remember the name of it, but it basically you can uh, surround it in an acetone vapor, and the acetone vapor melts the material down to potentially a shiny surface, a black shiny surface. And that's what you need to create chrome. So like if you want to really create chrome, you need to start with black shine and then paint it with chrome. And we were hoping that this would kind of create, naturally this chrome, but ultimately at the end of the day, like some of the lines got even, deeper. So I think there are some applications where that might work, but this certainly wasn't one of them. You can kind of see here how it's starting to get a little bit shiny, but not quite all the way. We did try like airbrushing shadow effects on there. Ultimately didn't like that. This is one of the earlier models where we didn't apply the like base coat, the primer, and you can kind of see those lines. In some cases, we kind of wanted to embrace those, but we definitely wanted to stay away from that. So we're finding ways to eliminate, some of that. And then, oh, that was me. We did play around with like creating resin molds. So basically starting with the 3D object, you basically put all this clay around it and you build this basin, and then you dump the silicone into it, and then it creates the mold, and then you can pour resin into it, but it's just like so many steps to the process. And even though at the end of the day, this is a $1,500 topper, like, trust me, like, it wasn't going to work from a cost perspective to do that. These are some resin prints that we did. So they're still 3D prints, but they're resin. This is kind of how it comes out of the resin bath. So basically there's a pool of resin on the bottom, and it kind of pulls that shape up out of the pool slowly. But you can see here even, and some of this may have to do with like my experience with this device, but you'll see some banding happening as that comes up. So I just, learning about all these kind of different trade-offs and like trying to find a happy place. Also, at the end of the day, like, this is going on top of your machine, and it's a dark room most likely, and you're not going to be able to see all this stuff anyway. No. So we really wanted something that kind of let us focus on the screens and making the screens great, and really excited about how that's turning out. So
do you know how these how those resin printers work? Do you know the process of it, like how it actually makes?
Yeah, there's a screen. Are you talking about the screen on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fascinating actually. Let me see if I can get up that image. So basically each layer is a light panel. So at the very beginning, where you'll see like this frame starting, there'll be like a little bit of light that's played on like a LCD screen, just like your phone, down here at the bottom of the pool, and it hardens that layer, and then it moves up a tiny bit and hardens the next layer and hardens the next layer and hardens the next layer. So basically what you're seeing here is like a light flashing in white on a black screen, and like basically turning that resin into a harder material, and just doing that over and over and over again. And then these supports here are there because like it has to stick to the initial layer up here. Actually, it goes the other way. It starts here and then works its way down. But it takes about 8 or 10 hours. It's hazardous material, not crazy hazardous, but kind of tough to deal with. And then you break it all away, and it does create a really nice object. From a durability perspective, which is not an issue for us, there are some advantages. There can be some disadvantages too. I mean, because it can be brittle. But it's a fascinating process. And I mean, this is a $800 machine, so it's not like it's insanely expensive. And have you played around with one at all yet, or?
What's put me off is the hazardous nature of them, to be honest, mate. Like, so I was going to pick one up and put it in my workshop at home, but the kind of the toxicity of the resin freaked me out, and I started doing some reading on needing extractor fans, and it just all became a bit too hard, so I sort of avoided it at that point in time. I mean, I use resin a lot in the stuff that I do, all of the Tokyo Neon, all of the Tokyo Neon diffusers, and all of the LED diffusing that we do uses translucent resin to do it. So we use resin a lot, but it's always via print farms. Generally speaking, like having a Bamboo Labs PLA printer, just like your normal sort of, what everybody knows is a 3D printer, is enough for me to do my prototyping. There's only certain situations where the thing that I'm printing needs supports in such a way that is going to make it too difficult to use a traditional PLA printer, and then I have to get it printed in resin in order for it to come in, just because I think the supports required to print with resin just don't seem to be as, I guess, invasive as they are with PLA. And the resin pieces always come out like a lot cleaner than they would do in PLA if you printed it the same thing that needed like gravity supports underneath it.
Go zoom in on this one if you don't mind for me. So the one thing the one thing that you cannot achieve with a 3D printer is like this level of detail. So this is on a resin printer, and like if you look here at the Statue of Liberty. Sorry, I mean like this is very firm. There's obviously no lines. Back here is where it gets kind of weird. So like it kind of lifted out of the bed like this. But this is
about
where
needing
you
the
have to
connection
have a
points.
resin printer for sure. One thing I will say about the chemical thing is that I was initially turned off because I didn't realize that you can leave the resin in the printer over like a month or two. So it's like once you've got it set up, the hazardous kind of goes away because you're not like dealing with like cleaning up chemicals and all that type of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So if you ever do give it a shot, kind of keep that in mind that it's like once you get your process down, the hazardous thing is just a matter of of figuring it out. I would say it's not something you want to be
Okay.
too concerned with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Paul does a lot of resin printing for Atomic Godzilla and stuff, and has, I think, a number of resin printers in his home. And I've kind of put the fear of God in him a little bit to sort of move them out of his sort of workspace and
Well,
into
definitely
a
that.
cupboard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it was just a case of like having the kids around and stuff, sort of put a different
Yep.
spin
Yep.
on it. I just didn't want to expose them to, more chemicals, I suppose, than what
Totally.
they needed to.
Totally.
Yeah.
So guys, that's my show and tell for the day. Happy to answer any questions anybody has. Just a recap for those that are watching that have this on order. We're going to probably get about 5 or 10 out this month. And then we'll be working on them throughout the coming months, both black and white and color. So excited to hear what you guys think.
Cool. That was a very nice show and tell, mate. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Shall I crack on with my stuff then?
What you got?
All right, what have I got? So, right, there I am.
Oh, we got to hit the comments here. We've got a Rocket City says needs a nicer start button.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I've already put those ones in, man. I did it while you were showing Godzilla.
Nice. And then a little bit of love from Travis. Thanks for joining, Travis, as well as Hot Mods. Thank you. All right, Davey, your turn.
Okay, man. So, now, before Tokyo Neon was even a thing, the Lollipops board and stuff that is in our Lolly UFO now was created so that we could run pop bumper lights, RGB pop bumper lights. Now, this is one of the original ones that we used to make. And we sent out a bunch of these to people, and they originally went into my Creech, but they went into sort of lots of other games as well. And this is how we were originally making them. There's like an acrylic disc under here, which the LED ring, which is here, was then hot glued onto that acrylic disc, and then that whole piece was then hot glued into a pop bumper cap. That's sort of this milky colour to sort of diffuse it a little bit. Now, that was like a massive amount of work to do that, and messy too, and you'd mess them up, and some of them wouldn't adhere properly and stuff. It was never a perfect solution for putting these in. So sort of when Tokyo Neon took off and I sort of started focusing on other mods, I sort of put these to bed and didn't sort of open them up for anybody to order them. But I had loads of requests over the years to sort of revisit them for people who sort of want to put them in games, because these pop bumper caps are ubiquitous. They're on all WPC games for like 20 or 30 years, and even modern Stern games still use the same sort of format for the pop bumper body, just with smaller caps. So I did want to sort of get back into it at some point and look into it. So just before going on holidays, I sort of had a couple of hours free, so I thought I'd sort of give it a go. I had this idea that I was going to try and recreate that acrylic bracket, but using resin, like we just talked about, and have it so that it was all sort of push fit rather than having to use hot glue. So this is what I came up with, just a very simple ring, but perfectly sized so that it fitted into a pop bumper cap. So let me just set this up. So the wires go through the bottom of it there, and then the ring then just pushes onto the bracket, which again is just a push fit, like that. And the wires get fed back up through again, like so. Just make folded too much. And then down through, and then that then just fits into the bottom of a pump bumper cap. Why isn't it fitting properly? There we go. And then that then just screws down into the pump bumper body. So much nicer solution to something that's been hanging over me for ages. And it means now that we'll be able to offer pop bumper caps as part of the lolly kits that we'll be shipping out at some point. Now, we've done a lolly kit for Foo Fighters, which I'll show you guys when I do my walk around later. The lolly kit for Foo Fighters hasn't been released yet. We've sort of announced it and showed people, and people have been jumping on the list for it. And at the same time, we've been fielding sort of requests from other customers who sort of want to install these lolly kits in their games as well. So we're sort of calling it, like, I can't remember what I'm calling it now, like the Lolly Adventurers kit or something like that. But essentially asking people who want to design a lolly system for their game, which might mean a couple of pop bumper caps, it might mean some star post LEDs, and what triggers are going to set those things off. And for any game that we don't currently have a lolly kit for, and I'll send it out to them, and then in return for creating some install documentation, they get a free kit, and we then have a kit that we can offer customers ongoing. Now, we've done about 10 of these so far from various people. I've sort of been doing it, trying to do it just in the time between other projects, which is proving difficult because there's never enough time to do these things. But we're hoping to sort of get back on the case for that over the next couple of months, and now that sort of these pop caps have been, a solution for those have been found, then hopefully I can get back on the case of that and start offering them, for more games in the future. At the moment there'll be 10. We'll hopefully announce some of those over the next couple of months, and then expand the repertoire of games that we support for those as well.
Hey, Davey, are you able to get any closer to the mic at all, or we had one comment?
Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, I can move that over just for this bit. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. You don't want to not hear my sultry voice, do you? All right.
Absolutely.
So, now, Tokyo Neon. So this is the original Tokyo Neon. It uses a product called PA12 nylon, which is a lovely 3D printing material. It uses, I think, laser sintering to create it, so there's no print lines. Very similar to PLA in a lot of in most other respects in terms of how tough it is and stuff. But the beauty of PLA is that there's just absolutely zero print lines, so you get really lovely quality in the prints. So this is the Tokyo Neon that probably everyone's familiar with, the first sort of mod that really sort of blew up for us. And then since Godzilla 70th has just been released, we're getting a lot of requests to convert both the Tokyo Neon and the building mods that we've created for Godzilla for the 70th. Now this is we sort of alluded to this earlier in the show. This is the stainless steel surround that I recently got printed up. Now this is an idea, or this is something that I've wanted to experiment with for quite a while. And I was originally just going to do it just as a Project Pinball raffle prize for Expo. I think he does his raffles, but when the 70th got released, I thought it would be the perfect sort of solution for creating just a beautiful metal effect. And the beauty of using metal as well is that it's really close to Mechagodzilla, so it ties in really nicely for that location of the game. Now, I think you can sort of hear it. Oh, here, you can hear it banging against my ring. Like, now this is, you look at it. It looks like it could have been, smelted or whatever, but it's absolutely beautiful I was so pleased with it when it came in. But to the point where, like PA12 has got a bit of give in it and a bit of flexibility, whereas stainless steel's got none. So things like sort of screw holes that were completely fine before were slightly out. The PCB doesn't quite fit in there just because there's absolutely no give to it. So I'm going to have to slightly redesign the PCB for the stainless steel. But let me just plug this guy in so you can see what it looks like lit up.
So are you planning to bring this one to market with this frame?
Yeah, so we've already created a list. We've already created a list for this. It's coming out a bit blue, isn't it, on the right there? Doesn't look that way in person. I think it's just the camera. But essentially, for all of the buildings, and including this one too, the idea will be that it will be utilising the red as much as possible. That is kind of the colour pop on Godzilla 70th. So all of the borders, all of the neon borders and stuff will be red, and then everything else will be sort of white, grey, and sepia, as sort of you mentioned earlier with your topper, Rob. And then this acrylic has been changed, so it's now a grey sort of two-tone effect on the acrylic here. We might probably still offer multiple variations of this, but all in a grey theme. The straight black one as we had for the earlier Tokyo, and then probably just some other sort of designs as well, just to sort of let me see if you can see that properly. It's not coming through amazingly well on the camera, but same effects that the Tokyo Neon always had. I think when it comes to sort of those effects, you still wanted sort of those indicators to be very visible, but its resting color will sort of match in closer with the black and white. So yeah, that's that one. I've got some pictures of the. Let me see if I can find it. So these are sort of mock-ups that we've designed of what the noodle bar will look like in a black and white. Now, the red brick of noodle bar obviously matches in quite nicely with Godzilla 70th, but when we sort of did it up without the red brick and just had it as the grey brick, I thought it looked really, really good, and I'm in two minds as to whether to go with the red brick on this one, because I just think it just sort of matches in so well with the theme as it is without the red brick. So it'd be good to get people's feedback on that and to find out what they thought of keeping those bricks just sort of like that dull grey. Obviously there's going to be a lot more colour coming from the other elements of the noodle bar as well, like from the King Ghidorah resin and the lighting at the top. We'll probably be using sort of reds and stuff there as well. So in some ways, I think like leaving off those red bricks is a good move, but it'd be good to get people's feedback on that.
Yeah, I like the one on the left for sure. I mean,
yeah,
there's a little bit of blue in that too, but I think it looks great. You've also got the sign that's going to have some colored lights up in the top right hand corner, so I think it'll have some color up there anyway. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. And there's usually a decal on the left hand side here. We'll probably be doing that in black and white too. Just because the LEDs will be giving enough color, I think, and that does match in fairly closely. I need to actually have a look at the 70th just to see what the existing signs are, whether they're colored or not, whether it's just the inserts on those signs that are colored. But yeah, that'll sort of I think dictate sort of exactly how much color we put in for those decals. But
yeah, the little lights are colored. They're red and yellow and blue, like the actual acrylic print.
So. The acrylic is it? The acrylic behind it, the graphics on the acrylic?
Yeah. And there's a lot of red already in the text that defines each light as well.
Yeah, okay. So that's the noodle bar. This is the subway as well. So you can see that for both of these, we originally used quite a bluey grey, just because that matched more closely with the colour of the existing buildings in the original Godzilla. But that's too blue really for the Godzilla 70th. And obviously, I don't have the game yet, so probably what we'll do is we'll revisit that once I can actually put it in the game and just check to see whether how closely it sort of matches in with everything else. Um, but we'll be dropping. So Subway has blue acrylic windows. Here we'll be dropping those. Those will either come in either black or red. We'll either use red acrylic windows there, and then the water slide decals that like the graffiti that goes sort of on these sections of the building, those will be black and white as well. So that's that done. Now let me just stop sharing. There we go. Where's my... oh yeah, this one. Okay, now, Elton John. Okay, so a little while ago, well, I got Elton probably a month ago or so. Fantastic game, really love it. I think, if JGP sort of continue on that train of thought, they're going to be a real powerhouse producer over the next couple of years. I just think it's just a really well put together game, very professionally done, lots to it, very technical. In terms of the production quality, I think probably some people would say it's not a very technical game in that respect, but certainly from sort of a modder's perspective, looking at sort of how they've done certain things is very, very clever. So what I wanted to do was replace this back left sign in Elton. This is a sign that goes up over the left sort of, I guess, curling ramp. That's at the back left of Elton John, and displays various modes and things that are ready in the game. It's a pretty boring sign, even though it's actually pretty beautifully made when you get up close to it. It's got these sort of resin diffusers for the LEDs that are underneath that look to be custom made, I think. And when I originally sort of started talking about this, I think I sort of mentioned something on the forums. Somebody mentioned in passing that JGP games were very difficult to mod, and I didn't know, or I hadn't heard anything, I suppose, about that previously, so I sort of questioned him on it, and he sort of didn't remember exactly why that was. Now, I think I've worked out why they've got a reputation for being difficult to mod, and that's because these lamps are addressable. So you can see, let me show you. So I've got 3 cables going in. There's obviously 5 lights here. Now, ordinarily on a Stern game or any WPC game or whatever, all of these lights would have 2 cables running to it. So that'd be 10 cables in total. But not if it's an addressable LED situation. All these LEDs would be connected to each other, and then it just becomes a voltage, a ground, and a data pin to control all those 5 lights. Now, if you're going to intercept these and work out what was going on, it's actually, well, a difficult thing to do, I suppose, unless you sort of get down and dirty with that protocol. And I was talking to Aaron from Fast about that problem, and he sort of gave me quite an easy solution to it, and that was to essentially read that signal and then use these chips. Now, these are the same chips that you'll see in any LED strip, any addressable RGB LED strip, that pull the signal and turn it into red, green, and blue channels for an LED. They're called WS2811. Some people might be familiar with the protocol WS2812, which is like the general, most common protocol for LEDs. And these are the chips that drive all of those LED strips. So what you can do is take that signal, split it up. You can see that there's 5 of these chips here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 for each of these LEDs. They're all connected to each other in exactly the same way that LEDs would be. And then I can take those RGB signals, send them to the processor, and then read them. So if the first LED is on, I'll get notified because one of these RGB channels will be turned on, and then be able to interpret all that information and then make the mod more interactive. So this is the stage that I'm up to with it. I haven't actually tested it yet. It only came the other day. I only just got back from holidays. So this hopefully is going to turn into a very fancy new sign for Elton that's going to have some stuff on the back of it to recreate these LEDs, but in a much sort of fancier Tokyo neon-y type way. So more on that later. I usually don't show things this early on in the piece, but thought I would this time just to see if people got excited about it and whether there'd been any feedback on it. I've never modded a JJP game before. I don't know what the appetite is for mods for JJP games, so it'll be really interesting to see, how that pans out. The other really...
So that's just real quick, Davey. Is that this up here in the top left corner?
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yep, that's the sign, top left corner.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think we talked about that before. A little bit of an opportunity there.
Yeah,
Very cool.
definitely. Yeah, I mean Tokyo Neon, did really well. I mean, look, Lior's always been the JJP modder guy, but he's not really doing direct to consumer anymore. So it means that JJPs sort of aren't really getting a lot of modding love at the moment. I've been talking to a couple of people over IM about sort of plans that they've got for certain areas. I won't go into those because I don't know sort of how public they want to have those plans yet. But it'll be interesting to see, how that progresses, I guess, particularly, as JJP sort of, climb the ranks in terms of, the games that they're producing and stuff.
Cool.
So look, this is the lolly board, but this is the latest revision of the lolly board. I've always used a processor here called the ESP8266. This is an ESP32, which probably most people will be more familiar with. It's the bigger brother of that smaller chip. That bigger chip is more powerful, it's got more memory, it can do more things, and it's going to go into every lolly board from now on. This is lolly board version 3. The latest revision of that lolly board. It's going to enable us to do lots of really cool things like running servos from LED patterns. So that means if you create an LED pattern that might go like that or something, which would typically alter the brightness of an LED strip, you can redirect that to a servo so that the servo moves in that kind of way, like in a very sort of organic way or a very crazy way or whatever. So it'll enable us to control servos, it'll enable us to control animated GIFs on an LED array and a whole bunch of other things, all triggerable in the same way that lollyboards have always been triggered. Very excited about this. This board was created specifically for a couple of mods that are coming up in the future. One that I'm doing with Paul Jasbush for Foo Fighters, which we're really excited about. And then another very exciting project too, which we'll hopefully talk about over the next couple of months as well, but I can't mention yet. Let's do a quick workshop tour. Now my audio might cut out, mate, during this part, just because I couldn't work out how to use my roaming microphone. So I can either shout or you can just talk about the games I go through.
Oh,
how about we just do it that way?
There we go. Lost share. Yeah, go for it. Cool. So you've only been here for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I've only been here for a little bit, mate. I think we moved in maybe 3 months ago or something along those lines. I sort of created all these built-in cupboard spaces and things, and we've got all of our boxes and bits and pieces here. Here's where we do the majority of our work. The computers here, boxes, obviously the beer fridge, very important. Got the TV over there that's running a Pandora's box, so I can play Ghosts and Goblins and arcade games and things like that. And then did a lot of painting and setting up lots of shelf space and all that kind of thing. This is going to be tricky to do, I think, without the microphone, but I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough, okay? So
yeah, show us the machines.
Yeah, let's do that. Foo Fighters. Area 51.
Very nice.
Here's they're the lolly posts that I was sort of talking about earlier.
We're getting a lot of comments to leave the bricks gray, just so you know.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of.
Wait, what's this one? What's this one?
Robo War, man.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Have you seen Robo War before?
No, I don't know if I've heard of it even.
Oh man, so it's an old Gottlieb, and it's kind of, I guess, the inspiration. I mean, I've just made this up in my head, but for me, it's like the inspiration for games like TNA. It's just fast and furious and with a great soundtrack.
Nice.
Yeah, killer game. Okay. You won't be able to hear me now, so you're going to have to do all the voice
Yeah.
things.
Flash Gordon, definitely beautiful game. Looks very nice. You got lollies on this one?
No, not yet, mate. Nothing on this one yet.
Black Knight.
That's a custom board that I've done to do a better fire effect.
You got some acrylics on there too, it looks like. Lots of acrylics.
Yeah,
Colored acrylics.
Yeah, lots of acrylics. Yeah.
Oh, I like that back glass. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's an alternative. I'm getting somebody to do a real glass mirrored one for it.
Sopranos is underrated in my opinion.
Oh man, it's an absolute cracker. Okay. Is the game started at all?
Creature. That's a colorful one.
Yeah. Lots of it. That's got the PC and XL.
Is that an XL screen?
Yeah.
Wow.
So all of these have got XL screens. These are the Pinter DMD XLs.
Is that something? I didn't know you could do that on Creature. Very cool. Is that the Brian Allen back glass on?
Is the Brian Allen back glass there?
Yeah.
And there.
Yeah.
And I've got it for Drac too, I just haven't put it on yet.
He did. Oh, he did one for Dracula? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Dracula is an amazing game. I love it.
Oh, it's so good, man. This multi-ball is just unreal.
Oh, look at this. This is the one I didn't know you had. Are you a fan of that one?
Yeah. But I don't like his music, man.
What? Say that again?
I don't like his music.
Oh, okay. And is Scooby still keeping you interested?
So I only just set it up. It's been in the box for ages.
Okay.
We were talking about this today, actually, just amongst a group of friends or whatever. And I mean, Scooby cops a lot of crap, really. A lot of people don't like it. Think it's too easy or just doesn't play nicely or whatever. But the fact remains that whenever kids come around, that's the game they gravitate to, and they just love it. So, kind of my opinion is that even though it might not appeal to us pinheads, who are probably a bit jaded, and we've seen it all before, I guess. I suppose we just have to think that not all games have to be like epic, difficult, tawny focused games, and appealing to kids is like an awesome thing. And so I'll probably, for me personally, I kind of agree with all those criticisms of it. I think the upper playfield blocks a lot of shots. It almost feels like Popeye in that regard, I think, which is unfortunate. But the fact that kids love it so much, it'll probably outlast a lot of other games just because of that reason. So yeah, I'm a fan, but I think I preferred Spooky's newer games like Texas Chainsaw and Looney Tunes. I think are much better playing games. Not that I played them a lot, just a couple of games at shows and stuff. But yeah, I think they're better games on the whole.
Well, thanks for showing us your collection. I was happy to see as many Spookies in there, and I'm curious about this Robo Wars one for sure. I'm gonna have to hunt that one down.
Yeah, man. It's
I was surprised.
It's kind of go on.
I was surprised no diner.
Well, Diner's not here. It's I lent it to someone, so that's out on loan at the moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Very cool.
there's obviously you didn't see the Big Lebowski or Jaws or Godzilla. They're back at the house.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's each show one mod today because we're a little bit behind on time. Are you up for that?
We are, yeah. So what are we going to do with Mod Mobile World?
We are going to watch the video. Okay, now we can do it.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm gonna show Paul's Bond mod, but I'll let you show one or two first. How's that sound?
Yeah. No. Can you show your video first?
Yeah.
Then I'll get sorted. I don't know. Something's gone wrong with my main camera, so I'm just going to do this. All right.
Oh, good. Take your time. All right. So Jazz Boucher, he's done some stuff with Davey. I think Davey, you worked with him on this one, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That's using bodyboard.
Yeah. So this thing is awesome. I met Paul at TPF. I think it was TPF or Expo. I can't remember. But he sent me this. I love it. I had something there. I had this gyrocopter there that I really liked. I was kind of hesitant to get rid of it. But this thing's awesome. I mean, this is a very nicely resin James Bond. It matches the one you see behind him as well as the one on the playfield perfectly. This thing, not only does it look great, but it's interactive. Like when you hit the ramp once, it starts the laser, or maybe you have to hit it twice, and you'll see that line kind of approaching his crotch, which is from the movie. You actually have to hit the ramp a couple times to save him. I did have a little bit of fun with this because the mod itself actually ran into my Pin Stadiums, which I've got the Pin Stadium Neos, which are super tight. So I ended up custom making this pink fluorescent base, which actually allowed it to kind of move away. So if anybody out there has this and it's conflicting with their Pin Stadiums, let me know. I've got a couple other mods in here. I did this little like loop cover. So this yellow item is a cover for the loop. I also did this 007, which blinks whenever you have ball save going. And I've been threatening to release that for a while now. And then I just recently did this cover for the rocket loop. Let's see if I can, there's the ball save. So there's a little bit of a plastic above that switch. Some people are having issues where the ball is going over that switch, so that kind of helps with it. But I'm still a huge fan of this game. So definitely a big shout out to Paul for sending it my way. Love it.
Yeah, cool, man. I'm glad you enjoy it. We we had a couple of, a lot of late nights going over the code for that and making sure that, because, how it sort of worked and gamifying sort of those ramp hits was one of Paul's
Yeah,
ideas. And then
yeah.
I had to work out how to actually implement it in the lolly code. But
No,
yeah,
the little the wires you get with it make you appreciate how much went into it. It was easy to
yeah,
install, but it was definitely like a lot more there than one would expect, which is kind of
yeah,
is along the lines of what you're talking about with Jersey Jack. Like, you don't just plug these things in. You've got to build this interpreter board
yeah.
effectively to know what's going on.
And and as we've talked about many times before, and it's a problem that you guys face as well. The best way of pulling that data out of the machine and making it in a way that's nice and user friendly and installable and uninstallable if somebody wants to tear it out later. That's really like that's the crux of sort of
Hmm.
what we do and probably I feel like I still haven't like completely nailed it. But everything's an evolution to get to that point.
And you've also got to worry about code changing your mods. Did you have an issue with your Tokyo Tower? Or
Recently, yeah, it was funny actually. Yeah,
I'm sorry to
recently,
call you out on that. You're like, don't bring that up.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, somebody posted on Facebook or whatever that they're taking Neon and stopped working after the update.
But it
The
wasn't
most
really
recent one.
related to the
No,
update.
it was
Okay,
something
that's
else.
good.
It was something else. But and it wasn't his fault because he's a lovely dude, and he came out afterwards and posted glowing reviews of the way I handle it and all
Yeah,
the rest of
no,
it. But
no.
when somebody posts something like that in Facebook, everybody's like, "Oh my god, I need to check
Right.
mine now." And so yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah, yeah.
snowballed a bit, and then I was kind of managing those comments and managing his stuff, and so it was fine. And he was a lovely dude, so it was completely okay. And
Well, most importantly, it didn't happen, and which
yeah,
would have been probably a
that's
bigger nightmare for you.
exactly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
much bigger deal. I mean, I wasn't massively concerned about it because there's very few things that they could do. Just by virtue of the way that we intercept this data, this direct
Hmm.
sensing, they'd have to change the voltage of the lamps for it then
Oh,
not to
wow.
work or
Okay.
something like that. There's possibly other things they could do as well, like if you were reliant on timing or something like that, they could screw with those things, which could muck you up. But I think just by virtue of that direct sensing, there's very few things that they could actually do that could stop us from doing it. I think if you were
Until you gave them the ideas on how to do it, and no,
yeah, they're not listening. Let's be honest.
no, they're
There's
not
no
listening.
way they're listening.
They're
Yeah.
not listening.
All right, cool. Let me quickly just do a couple then. I promised John that I'd show this, which was his new Orca mod for Jaws. He's done a facade for the boat, which is using very high quality materials and a nice paint job, and he's tried to recreate the iconic scene from Jaws on the back of the orca boat with the machete and the bandana, and he's trying to make it as movie accurate as possible. He said in his own words, and he's just released that over the last couple of days. So if anybody wants to jump on his list, head on over to Pinside, search for J85M. And he's got a bunch of threads. He's got a bunch of things for Jaws. The other thing that he's got from Jaws are these, which is his quince reel and orca spinners that he's done in conjunction with Precision Pinball. John from Precision Pinball built an improved aluminium spinner for the reel, which makes the reel spin a lot better. Elwyn's always said that he did that by design. I call bollocks on that. I just reckon it doesn't spin very well. Why anybody would not want a spinner to spin as many times as
Yeah, yeah.
possible. Yeah, so John's fixed that. He's created a machined aluminium spinner disc, makes the reel spin a lot more satisfyingly, and then John has J85M has built these toppers for it to make it look more like a sort of an authentic fishing reel. So he's done one for the fishing reel area, He's also done one for the boat, which is sort of recreating sort of more of a sort of a classic boat steering wheel. I'm sure they're probably called something else in boating language, but I'm going to call it a steering wheel. And he's been getting a lot of interest in these. Lots of people on the list. I think they look really great. I think he's done a really good job of them. If you're interested in those for your jaws, and also interested in the Precision Pinball's spinny disc, then make sure you jump onto Pinside and get on the list for those because they're great.
I've experienced it on Avengers, and oh man, does that bad boy spin!
Yeah,
which it's a great experience on Avengers. If you the spinner on Avengers with precision flippers pushing, I guess it would be, it's a pleasure. Yes.
Yeah. So spinners should spin. That's all I got to say on that subject.
Are you contractually obligated to show anything else?
No. No.
Nothing else.
Those are all my contractually obligated showings that I needed to. No, I promised John. I've been promising him for months that I'd show his Jaws mods on the show. So well done, John. I'm really pleased you got those out, mate. And
John does amazing stuff. He did the start button on Bond. It's like literally like a eject button and it starts the game. So the shooter rod flips open. There's a red button. You can hit the red button. It's fantastic. So definitely check his stuff out. Although, with him and Paul, like they might not even make those things anymore. Does he still make that anymore, or do you know?
No, he's not. So John's not making his Bond shooter.
And Paul's not making what I showed just now either. So it's like, or at least I think he's down to his last few.
No, you're right. He's not. No, he's not making that anymore either. And I think that it's just indicative of, I guess, Bond in general, really. I mean, it's probably going to be one of those things where, Bond sort of started like this, didn't it? And then it kind of went like that. And then over time, it's kind of slowly been creeping back up again, as code releases have come out and the game's improving a lot. And it's becoming a bit of a sort of a hidden gem. But I think probably that will have, that initial sort of bump, really affected sales numbers. And there's just not that many of them around, I don't think.
I heard a rumor the other day from maybe a reliable source, I don't know, but that there's only 250 Bond LEs in North America. And that is due to the fact that the initial release of the game went the way that it did, and that Bond is a more popular theme, internationally. So definitely, you're building a mod, your primary customer, probably an LE owner, or at least a very important customer. And if there's only so many of them, that's going to, result in probably, especially when you make these things so complex. And that's something we think about too, is like the more complex you make it, the less time you're going to want to make it, because reconfiguring your shop to make more and ordering the parts and doing the painting is just like incredibly costly. It's too bad that some of these amazing things go away, but it definitely makes sense.
And look at this. Tom's on. Hey, Tom, you're late, man. You're about an hour and 15 minutes late. We're just about to finish.
Rewind, Tom. We covered, well, you weren't up this week, but he's here. All right, Davey, you got anything else, or are we going to call it a show?
No, we'll call it, man. I've got other stuff, but we're running so over time that I'll just save them for next show.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We want to do more of these where we're giving you, content about what we're working on. We know a lot of you that are tuning in are interested in our products, so we'll keep doing this. And of course, if there are any mod makers out there that want to come in on and tell us what they're up to, we'd love that too. So wrapping up 17. I'm sure we'll be back in a couple, 2-3 weeks. And Davey, I think maybe more Alice. If we're lucky.
I'm hoping that we might have some sneaky little Alice peaks. I'm not exactly sure what yet, but I'm hoping some little exclusives, maybe even some images, or some bits of news, some features. We'll have to wait and see.
Very exciting. All right, guys, signing off. Till next time. Have a great night.
See you guys. Bye.